As a 50-year-old doctor, there are three supplements that I take every day. But it occurred to me that my choices of supplements just aren't that popular. In fact, studies show that only about 1 in 100,000 adults takes the same three supplements that I do. Now, I find this mind-blowing because the science is compelling. When I look at the research, it is crazy not to be taking each of these three supplements because of the profound impact they have on health and aging. So I'm going to show you the research behind it. I'm going to have you guess which ones I'm taking before I give you the answers. And then we're going to see if my choices might be right for you. So let's start with why these three supplements and what do I hope to get out of taking them? Well, here's a list of the top 10 causes of death in the United States, as well as the top chronic diseases that affect older adults. And what I'm going to tell you is that the three supplements I take all affect in a significant way your risk of having anything on this chart. So whether we're talking about diabetes, chronic kidney disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, stroke, you name it, I'm going to show you that taking these three supplements has a significant improvement in your risk of getting any of these conditions and may keep you off this board if you're getting expert recommended amounts of each of these three nutrients. But even though these three nutrients have a profound impact on health and aging, the statistics show that very few people take them. Here you're looking at the number of people who, on a national survey, say that they're getting enough of these three nutrients. And as you can see, the numbers are pretty bleak. Less than 2%, 2%, 3%. You're not talking about people getting a lot of these nutrients. And it may be a reason why these chronic diseases are so prevalent. And it might mean that if we're taking enough of these nutrients, either through diet or supplementation, that we can avoid some of those chronic diseases and live healthier and live longer. Okay, with that out of the way, let's see if you can guess which supplements I'm taking. And to give you a starting place, here's a list of the top 20 most popular supplements here in the United States. Now, the supplements that I'm taking may not be on that list, but at least it gives you an idea for what most people are taking, and then you can decide whether the ones that I'm taking should be added to your personal list. All right, let's kick it off with supplement number 1. If we go back to this list of the top 10 causes of death and top 10 chronic diseases, this supplement hits a fair number of them, and the data is pretty substantial. Let's take a look. The risk of diabetes reduced by 43%. Hemoglobin A1C, if we have diabetes, blood sugars, hemoglobin A1C comes down by 2 percentage points, pretty substantial. Reduction in cholesterol by 20%, reduction in the risk of liver disease, 28%, reduction in heart disease risk, 27%, obesity, 18% reduction in caloric intake when you're taking this supplement. And when we get to the cancer column, pretty substantial data. We've got colon cancer, risk of colon cancer down by 47%, other gastrointestinal cancers down by 48%, breast cancer, 15% reduction, renal cell carcinoma, 16% reduction, cancer death from any cancer cause, 17%. And interestingly, all-cause mortality, death from any cause, is reduced by 45 percentage points. So across the board, it seems like this supplement has an incredible impact on human health. So what do we think it is? The answer is fiber. Fiber is incredibly powerful when it comes to affecting health outcomes, and yet very few people get enough. The average fiber intake in the United States is 16 grams per day, and almost nobody gets to the 35 to 40 grams of fiber that we need for optimal health outcomes like I showed you here. In fact, it's nearly impossible for most healthy eaters to get to the levels of fiber that are necessary for the best health outcomes. To give you an example, 2 pounds of broccoli, which is a pretty substantial amount of vegetables, has only about 23 grams of fiber. So getting to 35 or 40 grams through food alone can be a real challenge for even the healthiest of eaters. Now, it's an easy fix to use a supplement because a tablespoon of a fiber supplement has anywhere from 4 to 7 grams of fiber per tablespoon. So mixing that in once, twice, 3 times a day to augment your diet is an easy solve and may help you see the additional health benefits I outlined before. Okay, well, I hope you got that one right, and let's move on to supplement number 2. As you can see by this list of the top 10s, this supplement also has a pretty profound impact on health. Let's look at the data. If you have hypertension, there's a reduction of about 10 points of high blood pressure, reduction of stroke risk by 40%, reduction in the risk of heart disease by over 50%. The risk of having chronic kidney disease or kidney failure is reduced by over 30%. And there's also reductions in the risk of osteoporosis, kidney stones, and importantly, all-cause mortality. The risk of dying from any cause goes down by about 50% in some studies. So pretty amazing impact for human health. All right, what supplement do we think it is? Let's take a look at our list and you tell me, what do you think? And the answer is potassium. Less than 2% of adults get to the 4,700 to 5,000 milligrams of potassium daily that experts recommend. Most of us get about half that, 2,300 to 2,600 milligrams in most studies. And increasing the amount of potassium in your diet can actually have a significant impact on how you age. It starts with high blood pressure. Most adults end up with high blood pressure. The incidence of high blood pressure in adults is about 45%, but if you look at adults over 60 and over 80, the incidence increases to about 3 out of 4 adults. And that high blood pressure leads to a higher incidence of kidney disease, heart disease, stroke. So managing your blood pressure early through diet can have a real impact on how you age and avoid some of those premature causes of death that we looked at before. Now, a lot of people are concerned about the risks of a high potassium diet, and except for certain people with end-stage renal disease or severe kidney disease, it's really not true. A healthy kidney can filter easily 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 milligrams of potassium daily, and I've done some videos on this topic before showing that my blood levels of potassium didn't change regardless of how much potassium I took. So when you look at the health benefits of a high potassium diet and compare it to this kind of unfounded fear that potassium is harmful, you can see how increasing the amount of potassium in your diet might be the single easiest thing you can do to achieve better health as we age. Now, I'm going to leave some links in the description, including a full day's meal plan that adds up to 5,300 milligrams of potassium. I'll also leave a number of recipes that have high potassium, and I'll leave a link for my newsletter where every month I give you diet tips on how to increase the amount of potassium in your diet and see the health benefits that I outlined before. All right, with that said, let's move on to our next supplement. Looking at our top 10 list here, we see that this nutrient has wide-ranging health benefits. And I'll hit on some of the highlights of the data for you. In particular, for brain health, we get a 47% reduction in all forms of dementia, plus a 39% reduction in the risk of Alzheimer's in particular. You also get improvements in your risk of depression and Parkinson's. So the brain health impact is really substantial here. The metabolic benefits are also pretty significant. We get improvements in arthritis, pain, and mobility. We get improvements in muscle mass, strength, and power. We get a shift in the fat type from storage form, which is really hard to burn, to a more metabolically active fat cell that is better used for energy. So it kind of shifts you to a fat burning state. I did a video on this previously. I'll leave a link in the description. You also get improvements in HDL cholesterol and triglycerides. Plus, there are benefits with respect to multiple types of cancer and a 40% improvement in all-cause mortality. So when we look at these three supplements that I'm taking on a regular basis, what they have in common is they all have significant improvements in all-cause mortality on the order of 30 or 40% in most cases. So taking these three supplements or getting enough of these nutrients from diet can have a real impact on not only how well you age, but how long you live. So what do we think this supplement is? Fish oil. Omega-3 fatty acids actually reduce inflammation in the body, which accounts for a lot of their wide-ranging health benefits. And it's one of the reasons why omega-3 fatty acids are the third most popular supplement in the United States, right behind magnesium and vitamin D. Now, despite the popularity of fish oil supplements, still most of us don't get enough of this essential nutrient. Experts recommend that we get about 650 milligrams of DHA and EPA, which are together the biologically active forms that reduce inflammation and are responsible for the health benefits that I explained earlier. The average daily intake is closer to 60 milligrams daily, which is about 10% of what experts recommend. And getting there through diet can be a challenge. Now, most of the farmed fish and farm meats have very little EPA and DHA, A quarter pound of a typical serving of a white fish might have up to 500 milligrams of omega-3s, whereas a similar serving of salmon or another oily fish could have 1,500 milligrams of omega-3s, but most of us just aren't getting that on a regular basis. When you look at the research in terms of intervention trials and what it takes to improve your cholesterol panel or reduce inflammation in a measurable way, most of the studies are using anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of omega-3s daily, which is what I recommend for my patients and what I take on a regular basis. So the idea would be to get at least the 650 milligrams of omega-3 using a high-quality fish oil supplement or by introducing other high omega-3 foods like oily fish to the diet. And if you're looking for significant metabolic improvements, you may want to shoot for a higher number, more like that 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of omega-3s daily that I take and I recommend for my patients. So there you have it, my 3 favorite supplements: fiber, potassium, and omega-3s. Omega-3s are already super popular. I'm sure you were already aware of their health benefits, but potassium and fiber are completely unloved. Now, if you get enough of each of these 3 nutrients to hit expert recommended targets, you could, like me, be one in the 100,000 adults who reaches these targets successfully. Now, it's always better to get your nutrition from diet rather than supplementation, so I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can download for free a copy of my book, along with a 90-day meal plan that's full of great recipes that are full of fiber, full of potassium, and full of omega-3s. Also, talk to your doctor before you make big changes to your diet or supplementation. Everybody's different, and what's right for me may not be right for you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.